talk about leadership in higher education, and I'm going to talk about a research project that I've been involved with about something called urban and edgy organisations. Can I have the next? I have to wait now. So, the structure is, we're going to look at the context first, we're going to look at the background, where the idea came from. We're going to look at what urban and edgy actually is and how we can define it. We're going to look at how I managed to get some funding, some money out to somebody. We're going to look at the actual research, what we found out, the implication and the conclusion. So, moving on, first of all, major changes taking place within higher education. Major changes legally, we're seeing all sorts of different acts, different things coming through Parliament, different changes to all the funding streams, there's less resources, there's more push towards internationalisation, there's a change in the teaching styles and so on. Major changes going on in higher education. In addition to that, we also have organisations that are changing. At the moment, we have many organisations that are kind of very textbook style, very strategic, know exactly what to do, follow all the corporate guidelines, Johnson's schools and so on. However, what you actually find if you look at universities today is that there are a selection of universities that aren't like that at all. And you have universities that are diverse, that are messy, that have got a lot of different cultures going on, and that don't want to have one overarching vision and want to have something that's really, really different. So, in 2008, I coined a term that's called urban and edgy. These are some examples here. Urban and edgy. What does urban and edgy actually mean? We're looking at changes as well as external changes, changes internally, changes within our own cities. We've got smart cities trying to work more smartly. We're also trying to change our identity. Who are we? Okay, we don't want to be just University Alliance, we don't want to be Russell Group, we don't want to just be a person, a university in rankings. What we want is a new identity. We want something that's really, really different, and I'm really passionate about that. We're going to look at definitions of what urban and edgy is. This is Moscow Business School. It's in the winter, not quite sure if it's also like that in the summer. Is this what urban and edgy looks like? Is this how people would see urban and edgy? Or is it when you talk about universities, particularly when you're overseas, people have this idea, Cambridge, this is what a university looks like. They've all watched Morse, they expect it to be the dreaming spires. You say, no, Salford's not like that, we're different. So you've got this idea, what is urban and edgy? So from what I decided, we looked at something that in actual fact was a merger. It was the old digital, but it was also established, some established traditions. And it's a real disruption of those two things that's come out of that. So that's how I defined urban and edgy higher education today. We then went on, did a small-scale project in the Northwest, talked to senior leaders, dean level and above. Did they agree with this? Did they think urban and edgy actually existed? And they said, yes, it did. That worked really well. Did a small paper on that, paper was published. Later on, was very, very pleased to get some funding from the Leadership Foundation for Higher Education. We didn't get it the first time, I had to persevere. We actually got it the second time. And this was and still is a real journey of adventure and something that I feel passionate about. We did the pilot, did the paper, and then we got this funding. So we went out then and we talked to Vice Chancellors nationally, okay? We invited 11, I think we got 10 positive responses who said, yes, we're interested in this work. They gave us an hour of the time, actually went into the offices of the Vice Chancellors during 2011, end of 2010, which is a fantastic time to be in the Vice Chancellor's office, because there's so many other things happening, lots of things changing. And we said to them, you know, what do you think? First of all, we said, do you agree? Do you think that your university, your leadership style is urban and edgy? That's the first thing we said. Secondly, we said, okay, do you think that urban and edgy is about you as a person, or do you think you're urban and edgy because of the environment, okay, because of the city, because of what's happening in your community, things Pottery talking about? We got lots of interesting responses. People said this work's positive, they thought it was alarming, they thought things were optimistic, they were pessimistic, they were confident, attitude. Somebody even said, we think this research is dangerous. And when somebody said that, we thought, do you know what? We're doing the right thing. Because nobody likes change. So we found three major themes that came out. First of all, we said, is there turbulence in our education? And do you know what? Some people said no, because there's always been turbulence in higher education. It's not any different than it was. Some people said, okay, this is the future. It's not really turbulent, this is higher education. It's what it is. People also talked about aspects, Paul talked about courage and positivity, encouraging people about empowerment, recognising change. Then we thought, at the end of it, how are we helping? Are we helping higher education? What about urban and edgy? What's it doing? And the answer to that was that it's creating something new. It's creating a new group. It's not about a ranking or about what group you belong to. It's a level playing field. Everybody, anybody can actually join. So it's always going to be more about collaboration and less about being competitive. And that is one of the things that's really characterised higher education so far. So we've done local, we've done national, and I'm currently planning to do the international research phase and possibly intergalactic. Might be that next as well. Okay. So thank you to my sponsors, which is the Leadership Foundation for Higher Education. Thanks very much to Kelly for the invitation to speak. And most of all, thank you very much to all of you for listening and for attending.